It is approaching 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm Ron Jackson. Emily Rouleau is with us. We are happy to present on behalf of JASIC the 60th inauguration. President-elect Donald J. Trump will be sworn in by Chief Justice John Roberts shortly. When I say shortly, in about another 45 minutes. And Associate Justice Brett Kavanaugh will swear in Vice President-elect JD Vance. Between that time, a lot to observe, including the announcement of the Supreme Court justices. We have the luncheon that we're going to feature in National Statuary Hall, the Old House Chamber, the signing room,
in the President's room.
President's rooms.
There's a lot.
There's more than that.
And we're going to be with you for it all.
Thanks. We've been 2 hours just like that.
Flew by.
2 hours. Have you ever given a tour 2 hours?
Yes.
My goodness.
Yes.
There's.
Have you, Ron? I think you have.
Oh, so get me started. I might do it after this broadcast. Feeling motivated.
We're looking out. This is this is a view that we get to see a lot.
Yes.
On the right-hand side is the Library of Congress, biggest library in the world. And then on the other side, third branch of government, the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court used to be in the Capitol building all the way until 1935.
That's hard to believe. In just another, 11 years will be the 100th anniversary of the modern day Supreme Court. You're going to hear the name President William Howard Taft a lot. Case Gilbert, the architect. You're going to hear that name a lot. Speaking of President Taft, I think you mentioned this earlier about weather with President Taft in 1909. 9.8 inches.
Yeah, they had a big blizzard, and so they had to move everything indoors. Yeah. But, the Supreme Court being sharing space with the Senate for so long, it seems unbelievable today, but, now they have their own building.
Emily, we're having a moment here in which we're about to observe the departure. Yes. Well, right. The setup for the departure is going on at the moment. So you see Marine One.
Right. Yep. So that is. There was a question as to whether or not the weather would be good enough today for Marine One to take off, but it has been cleared, so we're happy that it's there. And it sounds like we're taking our seats in the rotunda. I heard.
It's that time, 11 o'clock. That ceremony. That piano player, I hope I'd like to know that person's name again. Acknowledge me. Beginning to see people, they were going around shaking hands, talking to people. The seriousness of the moment is.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, please be seated.
Yep.
Oh, this is a wonderful one. Lovely.
Mm-hmm. Nice touch.
We're going to preview some of the things we're going to see in just a few minutes. And of course, they'll come up on your screen, but we're looking forward to having a call to order by Amy Klobuchar, who, like we said, is the head of JASIC, the Joint Committee. Also, invocation by Cardinal Dolan and Franklin Graham. I'm excited to hear a little opera. An opera singer from New York named Christopher Macchio. He is going to be singing later.
Tenor, yes. It was, speaking of opera singers, it was Jesse Norman in 1985. Graced the Rotunda.
Yep, and then country music star Carrie Underwood will be singing "America the Beautiful." So lots of pomp and circumstance. It's a very important event for America, but also a lot of great music.
I liked our last shot from the East Front. It was showing the preparation for the departure. Again, this is just so many pieces that come together.
Oh, there we go. Yep.
Yeah, that's a ceremony. That is a formal ceremony. The vice president and, the president will, President Biden, Dr. Jill Biden will depart.
Yeah.
We'll talk about this later, but 50 years of service, that's something to reflect
Celebrate.
on. Mm-hmm.
Yep, absolutely. And I'm just drawn to the Library of Congress in the background. But I've heard that the Supreme Court is going to be arriving shortly. They have such a long trek from across the street to come to the Capitol building.
Oh, they didn't walk, but it's long, lengthy. They didn't walk, but it is, you're right. Yeah.
Of course, we have the old Supreme Court. We were talking about that a little bit earlier on the first floor on the Senate side of the building. We get to go in there quite a bit.
So many rooms. It's such a wonderful building. We'll talk about visiting again a little later.
Right. Okay, here we go. So next should be the Supreme Court justices.
Emily, the painting to our left, Saratoga, New York. The painting to the right, Yorktown, Virginia.
Yes.
We'll get to those a little later on, but just for those who are wondering, who on earth is in the red coat? General John Burgoyne. Who is in the red coat on the right? General O'Hare. We will get to those paintings a little bit. We look forward to the Judiciary Branch making an appearance inside the rotunda.
Yep.
Again, this room dates back to 1824.
All three branches of government here today. The legislative branch is hosting, but the executive branch, the judicial branch.
We have volunteers that work with us that are here today. So everyone contributing. And you, those of you that are watching our YouTube broadcast, thank you for your patience. Music playing, that means just give it a second or two, right? It's hard to believe just 3 weeks ago, Russell Carter, laying in state.
Right. A very different ceremony, a very solemn affair. And thousands of people came to give their condolences. And today we're celebrating our government.
Yes.
What we're supposed to do as a democracy.
Well stated. Well stated.
The thing is, I'm watching this about how here, we're on the East Coast, we're in Washington, D.C., but people came from literally all over the country to be here today.
World.
In
Right.
some cases, the world, right? And that people from all around the world are watching this, of course, but that, Congress at its core, it's supposed to represent the people. That's in the preamble of the Constitution, we the people. And so here we have people from every corner of our country coming together to show who we are as a nation.
I wonder what the broadcast will be like 100 years from now. West Front and beyond.
Right. I mean, there are things, there are new things about this ceremony that I never thought would happen. We now have a space force, right? And they're part of,
Space Force, yes.
they're going to be part of the pass and review of the military later for the very first time. So, the Constitution can be amended. That's what the founders wanted. And so we change as the world changes, as our country changes.
Emily, June 6th of last year,
Mm-hmm.
I attended a ceremony. The astronauts who are flying over the moon later in the year with our friends in Canada, the lead commander said, when your grandchildren fly from Mars to the moon to here, there's a tree, the saplings came from the moon. They planted it. It's a wonderful, it's not a spruce. It'll come to me. It's sweet gum. It's a sweet gum. A tree was planted last year. And you mentioned Space Force, and I couldn't help but think the astronaut said, this is going to be in the future. And
Yeah.
so.
And I think right now we're going to listen in.
This land is your land.
I didn't know they were going to play this, but.
Ladies and gentlemen, former vice presidents, the Honorable Dan Quayle, accompanied by Mrs. Marilyn Quayle, and the Honorable Michael Pence. Ladies and gentlemen, the 42nd President of the United States, the Honorable William J. Clinton, accompanied by the Honorable Hillary Rodham Clinton. Ladies and gentlemen, the 43rd President of the United States, the Honorable George W. Bush, accompanied by Mrs. Laura Bush. Ladies and gentlemen, the 44th President of the United States, the Honorable Barack H. Obama. Ladies and gentlemen, the Chief Justice of the United States, the Honorable John G. Roberts, Jr., and the Associate Justices of the Supreme Court of the United States. Tiffany Trump and Barron Trump. Ladies and gentlemen, escorting Dr. Biden and Mr. Emhoff, the Republican Staff Director of the Joint Congressional Committee on Inaugural Ceremonies, Ms. Emily Leviner, the Senate Secretary for the Minority, the Honorable Gary Myrick, the House of Representatives Chief Administrative Officer, the Honorable Catherine Spindor, and Mr. Bruce Fisher. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Jill Biden and Mr. Douglas Emhoff. Ladies and gentlemen, performing O America, please welcome the Armed Forces Chorus and America's tenor, Christopher D. Macchio.
Oh, America, you're calling. I can hear you calling me. You're calling me to pay true to thee, true to thee. I will be. Oh, America, no weeping, let there be no wounded heart. I will keep you in my keeping till there be a new From your prairies to the sea, from your mountains grand and north of this land, you are beautiful to me. Oh, America, you're calling. I can hear you calling me. You're calling me to pay to thee, to thee. Oh, I will be. And we will be as America, you're calling. I will ever answer thee.
The Honorable Jackie Barber, the Clerk of the House of Representatives, the Honorable Kevin F. McCumber, Mr. John Bessler, Mrs. Kelly Johnson, Mrs. Iris Weinshaw Schumer, and Mrs. Jennifer Scalise. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Please welcome the chairwoman of the Joint Congressional Committee on Inaugural Ceremonies, the Honorable Amy Klobuchar.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the 60th presidential inauguration. Today, President-elect Trump and Vice President-elect Vance will take their oaths of office, and we will witness the peaceful transfer of power at the heart of our democracy. For the past year, I've chaired the Inaugural Ceremony Committee, which includes the leadership of Congress from both parties. We thank the committee and Capitol staff and law enforcement who worked so hard over the last year, and especially the last 3 days. You've done a beautiful job, and you have shown grace under pressure. Our theme this year is our enduring democracy. The presence of so many presidents and vice presidents here today is truly a testament to that endurance. We welcome President Biden and Dr. Biden. We welcome Vice President Harris and Doug Emhoff, President Obama, President Clinton and Secretary Clinton, President Bush and Laura Bush, Vice President Pence, Vice President Quayle and Marilyn Quayle. The justices of the United States Supreme Court are with us, all 9 of them, I counted, and of course, the Trump and Vance families. This ceremony marks what will soon be 250 years of our democracy. It is the moment when leaders elevated by the will of the people promise to be faithful to our Constitution, to cherish and defend it. It is the moment when they become, as we all should be, the guardians of our country. Through war and peace, through adversity and prosperity, we hold this inauguration every 4 years, and today it falls on Martin Luther King Day, a further reminder that we must strive to uphold the values enshrined in our Constitution, the freedoms, the liberties, and, as is inscribed on the entrance of the United States Supreme Court, equal justice under law. But what makes this moment more than a passing ceremony is all who are watching it across the country, the people of this nation, the ordinary people doing extraordinary things. President Kennedy, who at one point worked as a senator in this building and would often walk through this very rotunda, once said, "In a democracy, every citizen, regardless of interest in politics, holds office. Every one of us is in a position of responsibility." With that responsibility of citizenship comes an obligation not to seek out malice, as President Lincoln once reminded us, but to view others with a generosity of spirit, despite our differences. With that responsibility of leadership comes an obligation to stand our ground when we must and find common ground when we can. With everything swirling around us, the hot mess of division, it is on all of us, to quote an incredible songwriter who just happened to be born in my state, to ensure that our nation's democracy is our shelter from the storm. There's a reason this ceremony takes place at the Capitol. In other countries, it might be in a presidential palace or a gilded executive office building. Here it is traditionally held at the Capitol, the people's house. It is a fitting reminder of the system of checks and balances that is the very foundation of our government. 3 equal branches of government. That is how, for nearly 250 years, our great American experiment, grounded in the rule of law, has endured. So, as we inaugurate a new president and vice president, let us remember that the power of those in this room comes from the people. The construction workers who build our country, the teachers and healthcare workers who nurture us, the troops defending our freedoms, and yes, the firefighters in Los Angeles putting themselves on the line for us. Our democracy's strength and grit must match theirs. May God bless our nation. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Endurance through the years is the ultimate test. To persevere through time is the truest measure of an idea, an institution, and a nation. Our founders wrote the Constitution so that America could withstand all the twists and turns of time. They wrote it to guide us and to preserve forever our right of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But as much as the truths and principles enshrined in our Constitution remain the same, our democracy promises the American people the power to change, to chart their own destiny. That's the beauty. That is the importance of democracy. It allows the endurance, the permanence of a nation through change. It allows nations like our United States both to avoid the obstacles and to seize the opportunities God has placed before us, all while staying true to our founding principles. Today is our country's 60th inauguration ceremony. Like all the others before it, it is a celebration of our right to set our uniquely American course. The past several years have been trying at times for many, many Americans, and also for the nations of the free world that we humbly strive to lead. In November, Americans chose again to steer this nation towards greatness, the secure, safe, and prosperous future that our founders envisioned for all of us. And today, we celebrate not only their decision to do so, but also the simple right and wisdom of a free people to make their own choice so that their nation might endure. And now, allow me to welcome Archbishop Timothy Dolan and Reverend Franklin Graham, who will deliver our invocation. Please rise.
Be still and know that I am God, supreme among the nations, supreme on the earth. Let us pray. Remembering General George Washington on his knees at Valley Forge, recalling Abraham Lincoln at his second inaugural, with malice toward none, with charity for all, with firmness in the right as God gives us to see the right. remembering General George Patton's instructions to his soldiers as they began the Battle of the Bulge 8 decades ago. Pray. Pray when fighting. Pray alone. Pray with others. Pray by night. Pray by day. Observing the birthday of the Reverend Martin Luther King, who warned, without God, our efforts turn to ashes. We, blessed citizens of this one nation under God, humbled by our claim that in God we trust, gather indeed this Inauguration Day to pray for our President Donald J. Trump, his family, his advisors, his cabinet, his aspirations, his vice president, for the Lord's blessings upon Joseph Biden, for our men and women in uniform, for each other whose hopes are stoked this new year, this Inauguration Day. We cannot err in relying upon that prayer from the Bible, upon which our president will soon place his hand in oath, as we make our own the supplications of King Solomon for wisdom as he began his governance. God of our fathers, in your wisdom you set man to govern your creatures, to govern in holiness and justice, to render justice with integrity. Give our leader wisdom, for he is your servant, aware of his own weakness and brevity of life. If wisdom which comes not from you be not with him, he shall be held in no esteem. Send wisdom from heavens that she may be with him, that he may know your designs. Please, God, bless America. Please mend her every flaw. You are the God in whom we trust, who lives and reigns forever and ever. Amen.
Mr. President, the last 4 years, there are times I'm sure you thought it was pretty dark. But look what God has done. We praise him and give him glory. Let us pray. Our Father and our God, thou hast said, blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord. As the prophet Daniel prayed, blessed be the name of God forever and ever. For wisdom and might are his. He changes the times and the seasons. He removes kings. He raises up kings. He gives wisdom to the wise and knowledge to those who have understanding. Our Father, today, as President Donald J. Trump takes the oath of office once again, we come to say thank you, O Lord our God. Father, when Donald Trump's enemies thought he was down and out, you and you alone saved his life and raised him up with strength and power by your mighty hand. We pray for President Trump that you'll watch over, protect, guide, direct him. Give him your wisdom from your throne on high. We ask that you would bless him and that our nation would be blessed through him. We also ask that you would bless and protect Melania as First Lady. We thank you for the beauty, the warmth, and grace that she shows not only to this nation, but to the whole world. We thank you for Vice President-elect JD Vance and his wife Usha and their young family. May he be a strength to President Trump, to stand beside him, to hold up his arms like Aaron held up the arms of Moses in the midst of battle. The prophet Samuel reminded the people, it was you that brought them up from the land of Egypt. And he said, now stand still that I may reason with you before the Lord. So Father, we take this moment to stand still, to remember the great things that you have done for this nation. Thank you for the protection, the bounty, the freedoms that we so enjoy. We remember to keep our eyes fixed on you, and may our hearts be inclined to your voice. We know that America can never be great again if we turn our backs on you. We ask for your help, and we pray all of this in the name of the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, your Son, my Savior, and our Redeemer, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Associate Justice Kavanaugh to administer the Vice Presidential Oath of Office.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, James David Vance, do solemnly swear
I, James David Vance, do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith
that I will bear true faith
and allegiance to the same,
and allegiance to the same,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
on which I am about to enter.
on which I am about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. Vice President.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Chief Justice Roberts to administer the Presidential Oath of Office.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the office of President of the United States
the office of President of the United States
and will, to the best of my ability,
and will, to the best of my ability,
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution of the United States.
the Constitution of the United States.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
mighty of his terrible swift sword. His rule is
I could read his righteous sentence in the dim and glaring lamps. His day is marching on. Christ was born across the sea. With the glory in his bosom as singers as he died to make men holy. Let us die to make men free, while God is marching on.
It is my honor and pleasure to introduce to you the 45th and the 47th President of the United States of America, Donald J. Trump.
Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody. Well, thank you very, very much. Vice President Vance, Speaker Johnson, Senator Thune, Chief Justice Roberts, Justices of the United States Supreme Court, President Clinton, President Bush, President Obama, President Biden, Vice President Harris, and my fellow citizens. The golden age of America begins right now. From this day forward, our country will flourish and be respected again all over the world. We will be the envy of every nation, and we will not allow ourselves to be taken advantage of any longer. During every single day of the Trump administration, I will very simply put America first. Our sovereignty will be reclaimed. Our safety will be restored. The scales of justice will be rebalanced. The vicious, violent, and unfair weaponization of the Justice Department and our government will end. And our top priority will be to create a nation that is proud, prosperous, and free. America will soon be greater, stronger, and far more exceptional than ever before. I return to the presidency confident and optimistic that we are at the start of a thrilling new era of national success. A tide of change is sweeping the country. Sunlight is pouring over the entire world, and America has the chance to seize this opportunity like never before. But first, we must be honest about the challenges we face. While they are plentiful, they will be annihilated by this great momentum that the world is now witnessing in the United States of America. It fails to protect our magnificent, law-abiding American citizens, but provides sanctuary and protection for dangerous criminals, many from prisons and mental institutions that have illegally entered our country from all over the world. We have a government that has given unlimited funding to the defense of foreign borders, but refuses to defend American borders or, more importantly, its own people. Our country can no longer deliver basic services in times of emergency, as recently shown by the wonderful people of North Carolina, been treated so badly. And other states who are still suffering from a hurricane that took place many months ago. Or more recently, Los Angeles, where we're watching fires still tragically burn from weeks ago without even a token of defense. They're raging through the houses and communities, even affecting some of the wealthiest and most powerful individuals in our country, some of whom are sitting here right now. They don't have a home any longer. That's interesting. But we can't let this happen. Everyone is unable to do anything about it. That's going to change. Our liberties and our nation's glorious destiny will no longer be denied, and we will immediately restore the integrity, competency, and loyalty. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. That is why each day under our administration of American patriots, we will be working to meet every crisis with dignity and power and strength. We will move with purpose and speed to bring back hope, prosperity, safety, and peace for citizens of every race, religion, color, and creed. For American citizens, January 20th, 2025 is Liberation Day. It is my hope that our recent presidential election will be remembered as the greatest and most consequential election in the history of our country. As our victory showed, the entire nation is rapidly unifying behind our agenda with dramatic increases in support from virtually every element of our society, young and old, men and women, African Americans, Hispanic Americans, Asian Americans, urban, suburban, rural, and very importantly, we had a powerful win in all 7 swing states, and the popular vote, we won by millions of people. To the Black and Hispanic communities, I want to thank you for the tremendous outpouring of love and trust that you have shown me with your vote. We set records, and I will not forget it. I've heard your voices in the campaign, and I look forward to working with you in the years to come. Today is Martin Luther King Day, and his honor, this will be a great honor, but in his honor, we will strive together to make his dream a reality. We will make his dream come true. Thank you. Thank you. National unity is now returning to America, and confidence and pride is soaring like never before. In everything we do, my administration will be inspired by a strong pursuit of excellence and unrelenting success. We will not forget our country. We will not forget our Constitution, and we will not forget our God. Can't do that. Today, I will sign a series of historic executive orders. With these actions, we will begin the complete restoration of America and the revolution of common sense. It's all about common sense. First, I will declare a national emergency at our southern border. All illegal entry will immediately be halted, and we will begin the process of returning millions and millions of criminal aliens back to the places from which they came. We will reinstate my Remain in Mexico policy. I will end the practice of catch and release. And I will send troops to the southern border to repel the disastrous invasion of our country. Under the orders I signed today, we will also be designating the cartels as foreign terrorist organizations. And by invoking the Alien Enemies Act of 1798, I will direct our government to use the full and immense power of federal and state law enforcement to eliminate the presence of all foreign gangs and criminal networks, bringing devastating crime to U.S. soil, including our cities and inner cities. As Commander-in-Chief, I have no higher responsibility than to defend our country from threats and invasions, and that is exactly what I am going to do. We will do it at a level that nobody's ever seen before. Next, I will direct all members of my cabinet to marshal the vast powers at their disposal to defeat what was record inflation and rapidly bring down costs and prices. The inflation crisis was caused by massive overspending and escalating energy prices, and that is why today I will also declare a national energy emergency. We will drill, baby, drill. America will be a manufacturing nation once again, and we have something that no other manufacturing nation will ever have, the largest amount of oil and gas of any country on earth, and we are going to use it. We're going to use it. We will bring prices down, fill our strategic reserves up again, right to the top, and export American energy all over the world. We will be a rich nation again, and it is that liquid gold under our feet that will help to do it. With my actions today, we will end the Green New Deal, and we will revoke the electric vehicle mandate, saving our auto industry and keeping my sacred pledge to our great American auto workers. In other words, you'll be able to buy the car of your choice. We will build automobiles in America again at a rate that nobody could have dreamt possible just a few years ago. And thank you to the auto workers of our nation for your inspiring vote of confidence. We did tremendously with their vote. I will immediately begin the overhaul of our trade system to protect American workers and families. Instead of taxing our citizens to enrich other countries, we will tariff and tax foreign countries to enrich our citizens. For this purpose, we are establishing the External Revenue Service to collect all tariffs, duties, and revenues. It will be massive amounts of money pouring into our treasury, coming from foreign sources. The American dream will soon be back and thriving like never before to restore competence and effectiveness to our federal government. My administration will establish the brand new Department of Government Efficiency. After years and years of illegal and unconstitutional federal efforts to restrict free expression, I will also sign an executive order to immediately stop all government censorship and bring back free speech to America. Never again will the immense power of the state be weaponized to persecute political opponents. Something I know something about. We will not allow that to happen. It will not happen again. Under my leadership, we will restore fair, equal, and impartial justice under the constitutional rule of law. And we are going to bring law and order back to our cities. This week, I will also end the government policy of trying to socially engineer race and gender into every aspect of public and private life. We will forge a society that is colorblind and merit-based. As of today, it will henceforth be the official policy of the United States government that there are only two genders, male and female. This week, I will reinstate any service members who were unjustly expelled from our military for objecting to the COVID vaccine mandate with full back pay. And I will sign an order to stop our warriors from being subjected to radical political theories and social experiments while on duty. It's going to end immediately. Our armed forces will be freed to focus on their sole mission, defeating America's enemies. Like in 2017, we will again build the strongest military the world has ever seen. We will measure our success not only by the battles we win, but also by the wars that we end, and perhaps most importantly, the wars we never get into. My proudest legacy will be that of a peacemaker and unifier. That's what I want to be, a peacemaker and a unifier. I'm pleased to say that as of yesterday, one day before I assumed office, the hostages in the Middle East are coming back home to their families. Thank you. America will reclaim its rightful place as the greatest, most powerful, most respected nation on earth, inspiring the awe and admiration of the entire world. A short time from now, we are going to be changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, and we will restore the name of a great president, William McKinley, to Mount McKinley, where it should be and where it belongs. President McKinley made our country very rich through tariffs and through talent. He was a natural businessman and gave Teddy Roosevelt the money for many of the great things he did, including the Panama Canal, which has foolishly been given to the country of Panama after the United States. The United States, I mean, think of this, spent more money than ever spent on a project before and lost 38,000 lives in the building of the Panama Canal. We have been treated very badly from this foolish gift that should have never been made, and Panama's promise to us has been broken. The purpose of our deal and the spirit of our treaty has been totally violated. American ships are being severely overcharged and not treated fairly in any way, shape, or form, and that includes the United States Navy. And above all, China is operating the Panama Canal, and we didn't give it to China, we gave it to Panama, and we're taking it back. Above all, my message to Americans today is that it is time for us to once again act with courage, vigor, and the vitality of history's greatest civilization. So as we liberate our nation, we will lead it to new heights of victory and success. We will not be deterred. Together, we will end the chronic disease epidemic and keep our children safe, healthy, and disease-free. The United States will once again consider itself a growing nation, one that increases our wealth, expands our territory, builds our cities, raises our expectations, and carries our flag into new and beautiful horizons. And we will pursue our manifest destiny into the stars, launching American astronauts to plant the stars and stripes on the planet Mars. Ambition is the lifeblood of a great nation. And right now, our nation is more ambitious than any other. There's no nation like our nation. Americans are explorers, builders, innovators, entrepreneurs, and pioneers. The spirit of the frontier is written into our hearts. The call of the next great adventure resounds from within our souls. Our American ancestors turned a small group of colonies on the edge of a vast continent into a mighty republic of the most extraordinary citizens on earth. No one comes close. Americans pushed thousands of miles through a rugged land of untamed wilderness. They crossed deserts, scaled mountains, braved untold dangers, won the Wild West, ended slavery, rescued millions from tyranny, lifted billions from poverty, harnessed electricity, split the atom, launched mankind into the heavens, and put the universe of human knowledge into the palm of the human hand. If we work together, there is nothing we cannot do and no dream we cannot achieve. Many people thought it was impossible for me to stage such a historic political comeback. But as you see today, here I am. The American people have spoken. I stand before you now as proof that you should never believe that something is impossible to do. In America, the impossible is what we do best. From New York to Los Angeles, from Philadelphia to Phoenix, from Chicago to Miami, from Houston to right here in Washington, D.C., our country was forged and built by the generations of patriots who gave everything they had for our rights and for our freedom. They were farmers and soldiers, cowboys and factory workers, steel workers and coal miners, police officers and pioneers who pushed onward, marched forward, and let no obstacle defeat their spirit or their pride. Together they laid down the railroads, raised up the skyscrapers, built great highways, won 2 world wars, defeated fascism and communism, and triumphed over every single challenge that they faced. After all we have been through together, we stand on the verge of the 4 greatest years in American history. With your help, we will restore America, promise, and we will rebuild the nation that we love, and we love it so much. We are one people, one family, and one glorious nation under God. So to every parent who dreams for their child, and every child who dreams for their future, I am with you, I will fight for you, and I will win for you. We're going to win like never before. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. In recent years, our nation has suffered greatly, but we are going to bring it back and make it great again, greater than ever before. We will be a nation like no other, full of compassion, courage, and exceptionalism. Our power will stop all wars and bring a new spirit of unity to a world that has been angry, violent, and totally unpredictable. America will be respected again and admired again, including by people of religion, faith, and goodwill. We will be prosperous. We will be proud. We will be strong, and we will win like never before. We will not be conquered. We will not be intimidated. We will not be broken, and we will not fail. From this day on, the United States of America will be a free, sovereign, and independent nation. We will stand bravely. We will live proudly. We will dream boldly, and nothing will stand in our way because we are Americans. The future is ours, and our golden age has just begun. Thank you. God bless America. Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, performing America the Beautiful.
All right. Are we live?
We're live. How's it going?
Amazing.
I think I'm in hell. Where are you?
You're in hell?
I think, well, I have a theory that I'm in hell and that this is
some
that
simulation?
I'm not alive. Yeah, that I'm not alive anymore and that I am in hell. And this is what is happening there. And so if people in the comments want to disabuse me of that in any way and provide any proof of life,
Well,
I'd like to hear it.
that's messed up. Why would I be in your hell?
It's a good question. That's a counter theory. Sonny's here,
Sonny,
though, so
I
that's
get.
a mark on the other side.
Yeah.
Sonny, I understand.
I know what I'm doing here. I have no doubts.
By the way, just so everyone knows, okay, I'm going to set the stage here. The most important thing is not what you're seeing up top. It's what you're seeing in the bottom right. Sonny had the flu this morning, and reminiscent of like Michael Jordan in the playoffs, he's doing the flu game type thing here by being on this live cast. So, Sonny, thank you. I appreciate your service.
The best thing that could happen here is I just throw up all over the computer screen. Think of how viral it'll go. It'll be a good representation of how I think all of us feel.
All right, I'm gonna kick it around and we can talk, and then maybe Sarah will join us. Look, this was a wholly weird ceremony from the get-go because they had to push this all inside. It would have been weird outside too, but I think it was. I think the oddness of it was accentuated by the fact that it was inside. And I thought the speech was kind of objectively bad. It was no different than a campaign rally. We'll get into the substance of it, but just in terms of like the cadence of it, the oratory. I don't want to be overly critical, but I thought it was just an objectively unmemorable speech. I don't know. Did you guys feel similarly?
Well, I thought this. I don't know if it was unmemorable. I do think it was fundamentally un-American at its core, in that it was. Look, this is about Trump. Trump didn't actually put his hand on the Bible. It doesn't seem like.
Yeah,
he forgot that, and it doesn't really seem like Trump was like, in the tradition of the great inauguration speeches past, is not like accepting the torch, right? In a long line of great men that were committed to our constitutional republic, and I'm the next person to pass it forward, right? Like, this is like the notion usually of inaugurations is to hearken back to our, the spirit of the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution and the obligations and and the do not ask not what the country can do for you, right? Like these pains to a greater purpose that we all have. And that's not Trump. Trump specifically said today during his inauguration speech that this is a liberation, and to him this is a liberation from the people who had previously ruined the country, right? So it's this weird contrast within America First and Make America Great Again. It's like, actually, no, it's that America was bad. Actually, America was fundamentally flawed, and the government was targeting you, and you didn't have free speech, and everybody was poor, and only now may I liberate you. Like the way that you would talk about it if it was, a free leader overtaking a despot. And that's how he treated.
That was my point,
speech.
Tim. It's like the oratory was just not, again, I think we're saying the same thing. I thought the oratory was just bad. I thought whoever wrote the speech, that could have been delivered on election night. That could have been delivered at any point during the campaign. It was not a speech for the moment. Not that he ever rises necessarily to the moment.
It was pretty close to his Mount Rushmore speech, actually. It's there. Jonathan Martin mentioned that, like just the themes and what he talked about, which was a campaign speech. There was a very I should say, well, there was not an ode to the founders and to democratic principles and to the country. There was an ode to McKinley, President McKinley, because of his great tariffs and how he should get his mountain back. So that was in there. Sarah, welcome.
Hey, Sarah.
You look happy. I think I'm in hell is how I started this. And so how you being here is a mark against that, I guess. I don't think we'd be in hell together.
Sarah, what did you think of it?
But you guys are going to have to tell me. My Wi-Fi is kind of janky where I am. I'm at an undisclosed location. So if you're like, Sarah,
Yeah, your Wi-Fi is
tell me
janky.
and I'll
That's for
jump out.
sure. You are janky. Jump out, come back in when you get it fixed. We'll hold down the fort for you in a little bit, okay?
I don't know if
All
it's going to get fixed.
We'll figure it out. Don't worry about it. Sonny, what did you make of it?
I mean, it's just a low energy speech. This is always his worst format, right? Where he's reading off a teleprompter. The only time he ever looked interested in what he was talking about was when he said Liberation Day. It was very weird. Liberation Day.
Panama Canal.
Which
He
is
did get the most energized he was, but was talking about Panama. For sure.
Panama Canal too. But like it was just this weird inflection in his voice, which makes me think it's the only line in the speech he wrote. He was like, I want to have this line in there, and that will be. No, I mean it's. What was it that Bush said about the first one back in 2016? That was some weird shit. This was less weird, right? This is not the American carnage speech, I don't think. I think it's a notch above that. Thank God. So I'll give him credit for that. But it definitely it's a low energy, very boring speech that's just checking off a bunch of things that his supporters have wanted. Yeah, like dedicating time to two genders. Like, okay, fine. Like, is that really the thing? Dedicate. I will say I am. While I think the Gulf of America is stupid, that's a stupid name for the Gulf of Mexico. I am pro going back to Mount McKinley. It just rolls better off the tongue than Denali. I don't know. I like it. It was a very boring speech. Really, it was really what it was. I mean, it was not entertaining to watch. For some reason I had thought he was going to deliver this speech or a speech in front of the crowd at Capital One later, and I think that will probably be more his milieu because he'll what's he called, the weave. He'll be doing the weave. He'll be riffing, and
Right. But he gave a speech
no.
last night for that crowd. I'm not totally certain he's going to do another. Well, he probably will do another speech. He's got to do the lunch. Then he's going to Capital One Arena. Then he's got to go to the White House to sign the executive orders, although some of them will be signed at the arena because they got one of those small desks there. I will also say I thought there was a lot of weird the pageantry and also the organization of the speech itself. Not weird, but it was profoundly interesting the way that they set up the audience. And a metaphor, obviously, Tim, you noted it on X, but to put the tech titans and their spouses there in front of the actual cabinet, that was a choice. And also, there was also sort of observed that it kind of, in a way, to me, is a rare misstep, I think, in terms of Trump, and because he's very good at playing sort of the populist politics. I would have imagined that he would have like had a section cordoned off for the working man or like his supporters in there, right? Like, but no. As just a sheer political, political matter.
That's
that
so 2016. The forgotten man. The forgotten man. Forgotten.
That would have been a smart. I think that would have been a smart move by him. He didn't do it. The setup was the tech oligarchs, prominence, the cabinet right behind him. Even some governors, it was reported, like Brian Kemp, Ron DeSantis, they were in the overflow room. It was a wild setup.
Yeah, no, I did talk about this over there, and I think that it's probably the most politically significant thing from the speech, despite the important renaming of the Gulf of Mexico. Just because, look, it sets up. There's a guy who's pretty left for me, Lee Fang, who's kind of a populist left, Bernie type. Yeah, he's kind of a Bernie type, right? So
quite left for you, yes.
Yeah, quite left for me. But he wrote this, and I thought it was interesting because a lot of folks on the populist left have been sort of MAGA curious, right? We're kind of seeing what might come of this next administration, just kind of an enemy of my enemy is my friend type thing. But he wrote this: over the next decade, Silicon Valley will replace blue and white collar workers with AI and outsource more jobs overseas. Truckers, designers, engineers, lawyers, and far more. Power will flow to the dozen tech overlords standing next to Trump at his inauguration. Ominous optics. I think that pretty much covers it, right? It's one of those things where the optics are bad just on their face, right? That this is supposed to be a working man's party and you have the richest people in the world. The corruptibility is obvious on its face, right? Like we have these rich guys who were, pretending to do resistance stuff at this time in 2017. Like the Google CEO is right there in this picture, Sundar. Like back in 2017, it was like, workers of Google unite, we will protest against Trump. And now it's like, okay, I'm in the first row with the Trump inauguration. So like the deal making the corruptibility is obvious. But I think that like the longest term ramifications is I do think the images may have staying power because as we go through this disruption of AI, many in Silicon Valley are going to be very happy with the Trump administration's deregulated approach to such things. But the people that suffer the consequences of it are not. And there are these kind of parallels. It's a funny contrast to like trade, right? Like the last globalist disruption that we had was this thing that kind of powers Trumpism, right? Like, NAFTA and globalism and like this sense that a lot of people were displaced by jobs. It's kind of what powers Trumpism. And there doesn't seem to be any recognition of that in the speech or the optics of that.
You can forward it a little bit even more to like the concentration of wealth by the big banks. And then of course, the financial crisis. And then that launches the Tea Party, which then bleeds into Trumpism. But yeah, I mean, we're seeing an uber concentration of wealth right behind Trump.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting that what did Trump kind of focus on in this speech in terms of jobs and work, right? He was like, we are gonna drill, baby, drill. We're gonna liquid natural gas. That's our gold. That's underneath the ocean. Like fairly traditional sort of, blue collar type job, right? Car manufacturing. Our great car manufacturers who are so great in supporting me in the election, our car workers there. We're gonna get rid of the electric car mandate. We're gonna bring it back. Blah blah. No talk whatsoever of tech dominance, tech.
Like they mentioned
excellence.
Mars.
I mean, what's that?
He mentioned Mars. getting to
Well, Mars is different. Mars is like astronauts and exploration. I feel like that's closer.
But all those
to
tech guys,
traditional,
tech guys own rocket companies. By the way, before we move on quickly, Barry Rubin is in our comments section. I just want to be clear. He keeps asking, "Where is Sam's plant?" Barry Rubin took my plant.
Okay.
And I just want Barry to stop commenting in the section.
Thank you. Watch out, Barry. I got something I want to say about the Lee thought that the tech overlords there were ominous. There was a different part that I felt like was pretty ominous, and it was related to Panama. The Panama thing might seem silly, but stick with me for a second.
Sure.
He talks about how how we're going to do an emergency at the border, which is like it's hard to figure out what the rationale for that is right now. Like border crossings are down. The emergency that he declared at the border last time was related to COVID. It was a public health emergency, not letting people with their diseased COVID breath come into the country was the ostensible reason for it. There is no real reason for the emergency right now. So I think it is just pretty concerning from like a rule of law standpoint. Like, what is the basis for this emergency? What kind of powers is he going to employ? I think that there's going to be, obviously Adrian Carrasquillo has been doing a lot of reporting for that on us and more to come. But if you combine that with just the anger in his voice about Panama, like we said, this was such a low energy speech, and it's like the Chinese, we gave the Panama Canal back to the Panamanians, but the Chinese have taken it and we're going to get it back. And I was like, I don't know, man. I don't know. Like angry Trump deciding like he needs to get the Panama Canal back and deciding he needs to totally shut down the border. Like for the to me, I think that this is going to be something to monitor as far as things that can get out of control unintentionally. I think that a lot of American people are happy about deportations, particularly of criminals. I'm for deportation of criminals. I don't know that like war in Mexico and Central America is really something that people are going to play out. Now, maybe Sonny's pro that. He does like invasions.
Well, I do love wars, and what jumped out to me about the border thing was designating the cartels as terror orgs, which I know has been long in the talk, lots of discussion about that, and it always makes me. I can't imagine he actually watched the movie Sicario, but I imagine him watching Sicario and being like, "Yes, that's what we should be doing." But like when we talk about things spiraling out of control very quickly, like when you start saying, "Okay, drug cartels are terror orgs. Okay, we can treat them like we treat Al Qaeda. Okay, that's right across the border. It's not in Pakistan. It's not in the mountains of Afghanistan. Like." Things have a possibility, and I wouldn't say it's a likely thing necessarily, but there's a possibility of things getting very out of control there very quickly.
You don't say. If you start bombing what you suspect to be cartel operations in Mexico, that could get out of control very quickly.
I've got another rant, Sam, if you're ready.
Well, just
you
want to
watch this. So
no, hold on one second. Yeah. To your point about the situation in Mexico, first of all, everyone should both subscribe to our YouTube page, but also sign up for Adrian's newsletter, Huddled Masses. He's been writing about the stuff he's got. He's going to be covering all the executive orders today. I was surprised by the numbers. You referenced it. The Washington Post put up these numbers. Border got out of control first couple years of Biden's term, but the last year, real progress has been made. Legal crossings at the U.S.-Mexico border dropped more than 80% in 2024. Over the past few weeks, number of migrants taken into custody along the border has fallen to roughly 1,000 per day. That's a level lower, far lower, the Post says, than when Trump left office 4 years ago. So he's actually inheriting an improving situation, but I think because it's such an omnipresent part of his political pitch, we should expect some dramatic actions. What we are waiting to see is what kind of domestic enforcement he's going to pursue, because they've been teasing raids in predominantly blue cities and states, if not exclusively. Don't know when that's going to happen. Also, birthright citizenship. Didn't mention it in the speech, but they did tease an executive action to end birthright citizenship. Unclear how they do that legally, but we'll see. Anyways, go ahead, Tim.
Well, no, it's clearly illegal, but they're going to try to do it anyway and then fight through the courts, saying it's in the Constitution.
See if the Supreme Court gives.
I know it feels like the Constitution is a farce right now, but it is still the law of the land for the time being, and it's right there in plain text. Right. So going after birthright citizenship, and just one more thing on to me, it's like, what powers are they taking with the emergency at the border? Like that is the thing to watch. Like saying there's an emergency, whatever, right? doing deportations. Okay, like that was going to happen. But what powers are they granting? That should be only granted by Congress. Like that's going to be something to watch on the border. The other thing that pisses me off about today, and just like the whole farce of it all, is I'm so sick of this. Like the Democrats are going to just kind of on the surface go do business as usual stuff, and then we'll talk in a second about Biden, some of his actual actions, which are not business as usual. Yeah. But like the way they treat it, like Joe Biden welcomes them to the White House, smiles, says "Welcome home." Didn't really like that. Welcome. Is that really necessary? They have tea together.
Home.
Yeah,
Welcome
they go
home.
to they travel together to the Capitol, and Biden's are treating Donald Trump much more warmly than they've treated Nancy Pelosi.
I don't mind him going to the Capitol. I honestly don't. But
okay, you cannot mind it. I just let me finish the
Yeah.
contrast though. So they're doing that's how they are acting. Michelle did skip, but a lot of these other people coming in, standing behind him, clapping at certain times. Then Obama walks in, and the people at Capitol Arena start booing. Like it's a fucking Eagles game or something. And then Trump starts to speak, and there's no the decorum does not go two ways. There's no I just want to say I appreciate the president and the vice president for the way that they've handled this transition in a much more honorable way than I did in 2020. They've been good to our team on the way in. They welcomed me for tea. Dr. Jill is a great woman. Like none of that. He then starts ripping them. And talking about how he's going to undo everything they did and how they've ruined the country. And
what'd you think of Franklin Graham?
And then, during the invocation, Franklin Graham starts talking about Trump's enemies that have been defeated.
Last 4 years were pretty dark, is what he said. Biden's right over his shoulder. And
so anyway, I don't have any deeper thoughts except for it just it gives the whole scene just a farcical sense to me, which I don't understand why there's certain people that are like, we're just going to go around and we're going to do the battle hymn of the Republic. It's like we're going to pretend like everything's great. And then Donald Trump is like, fuck you. We're taking
asymmetrical. It's asymmetrical warfare, buddy. Yeah. That's what it's.
Well, this has always been our problem, right? Is that we believe in things like norms and decorum and are up against somebody who does not, and it's a real problem for us. And I don't want to change who I am. I'm a very big believer in if you make yourself he's the real winner. But fuck, it gets tiring. It gets
well, and then you add Biden into the equation, who makes the argument that much harder. Literally minutes before Trump is sworn in, he pardons his siblings and their spouses. Yeah. I mean. What are we doing here?
This is my issue with the norms thing. It's like if Joe Biden wants to be I'm going to be the protector of norms.
Right.
All right. And as part of that, I'm going to welcome Donald Trump to the White House and do tea and crumpets and do smiling and go to the inauguration and pretend like everything's normal. Okay. But then your actions also have to be that. It's strange for me that Joe Biden cares about norms when it comes to just playing nicey nice with Trump, but doesn't care about norms when he's creating an imaginary new amendment to the Constitution, pardoning his brother, who I think maybe committed some crimes, by the way, and then at least allegedly, and then pre-pardoned some of his other family members. It's like you're sticking the rest of us with the Trump shit sandwich while you're pardoning your family. And then you're making smiley with Trump. Okay, I could understand people being like, well, Tim, wouldn't you pardon your family if you were really scared that Donald Trump was coming after them? Then I'd say yes. Okay, then be consistent. If you think Donald Trump is going to do extrajudicial attacks on your family, then you don't welcome him to the White House and say, hey, pal, great job. Welcome home.
Yeah.
All right. So or if you think that he is going to be a normal president, then you don't give pre-pardons to your family. Right, there's no, it's a disconnect.
You can't have it both ways. You can't have it both ways. And frankly, I know it's hard to see it in the moment, but Democrats are going to be a lot better off and liberated to go after Trump with Biden out of the picture. They just will be. I think not having him hovering over everything will make it a lot easier for them. And you're already seeing it a little bit today. They were some commentary about, all the tech oligarchs on the platform or the dais and all that stuff. There was a line in this that I think might come back to, there's a few things in here that I think could come back to haunt Trump. But one thing that kind of didn't get a lot of attention, but he was talking about inflation. he didn't just pledge to stop inflation. He said he's going to bring down costs rapidly, which is setting a line in the sand that I don't think any real economist is out there is like, oh yeah, we can be deflationary. So I think Trump set himself up for a little bit of letdown, but who knows? Does it matter? I don't know.
Again, you're operating on this idea that like he says things and then he has to do the things, and if he doesn't do the things, his supporters will be mad at him. And like that's not the universe in which he lives. It does not.
I don't know.
Doesn't
The
matter
cost
if he
of
does.
goods. I feel like the cost of goods might precede that, but maybe I'm wrong.
I think eggs are probably going to be 50 cents more expensive in 3 weeks because they shut down egg production in Georgia because of avian flu. Like things are going to be bad. Price of eggs will necessitate the overthrowing of this entire toppling of this whole regime. But like but nobody's going to care. Nobody's actually going to care. Nobody's going to blame Trump for this. What will happen is they will listen to the Fox News reports that are like, turns out there's a really bad avian flu and that's why the price of eggs are up.
Well, I agree with Sonny.
I will say no one blamed Trump for not solving the Ukraine war prior to his inauguration, which he pledged to. So there's truth to that, I guess.
Look, I agree with Sonny, and I have a repetitive comment that people are going to get tired of hearing me say on this YouTube, but I'm going to say it all here, which is you can say that the things that are bad without having to discuss whether or not there are positive political implications for the Democrats. Like, I'm so sick of every question being like, will this help? Will this be the thing that harms Trump? Like, I don't care. If Trump does bad things, I'm going to talk about it's bad, and we'll see what happens as Trump likes to say in the midterms. But as far as this is concerned, I do think, like, look, this goes back to what we talked about at the top with the very, and because we wanted to cover everything, I don't think we really sat with this. Like how fucking insane it is that Bezos, who owns the Washington Post, and Zuckerberg, who owns Facebook, and Elon, who owns X, and like that they're just sitting next to him like they are the honored guests. Like this is Belarus, and you have your chosen oligarchs that get to sit next to you. It's very strange, and I do think that the people that watch Fox, are not going to be moved by a 20-cent increase in the price of eggs. But I do think that if and when there are negative consequences that affect people's lives, whatever those be, economic or immigration or otherwise, and the perception that actually Donald Trump really got in there and what he cared about was being loved by the richest people in the world, I do think that eventually has an impact outside, in that with the key group, remember, that Trump did well with was not just Fox News people. It's people that don't watch the news.
Right.
And people that don't watch the news, are fickle.
Maybe there is something to that because it will take time to build up this opposition. But what I noticed, which was kind of interesting over the past week, was that some of the real pushback to Trump was coming from Breitbart. Over this stuff, the tech oligarchy relationships, the reversal on TikTok, for instance. Matt Boyle was like, "Why are you doing this? Like, why get in bed with the CCP? Like, what is the point of that?" Obviously, Bannon and Musk have, some real issues, and then H-1B visas, right? Like, so there is a chance. I don't think it's going to happen instantaneously. Nothing like that. There's no it's never going to be quick, but you do see the real tension points starting to form here, where it's like the populist right, the tech oligarchs, they're in this nice coalition for the time being. Can it last?
I have a serious question though, Sam. Do you think it matters at all to Trump? Because he's not running for election again. It's not like he's going to be president. He doesn't have to, massage and manage that part of the coalition, right? He doesn't have to say to the forgotten man, "You're not forgotten. We're getting rid of all these H-1B visas."
That raises a really interesting point, which is, I think, and this is just my prediction here, but the first 18 months are going to be very, very obviously important. It's going to be a mad sprint. And then what comes after that is going to be incredibly messy because you're going to have divergent coalitions inside the tent trying to position themselves as the inheritor to Trump. And Trump, who's kind of checked out at that point, basically, And also the thing that people don't really appreciate about Trump is that the guy who got famous for saying you're fired is like incredibly indecisive on that stuff. And I don't think he's going to want to put his finger on one camp or the other unless he has to. So I do think it matters, but I don't think it matters right away. I think down the road, we're going to have a really nasty split at some point is my prediction.
You know what I think matters? That our democracy has become a total farce. And the person that instigated an attack on the Capitol just was inaugurated again in the same room where his supporters smeared shit on the walls. So that's like one thing I think that definitely matters. And that he had the richest people in the world standing beside him as he tries to turn our government into
all of whom were pissed
oligarchy.
about January 6th. All of whom went out there and said January 6th was a horrible, horrible day.
So like I'm sure that matters. Besides that, TBD. We'll see. We'll see.
Damn, dude. Damn.
Yeah, I'm in a bad place. You made me come do this, so here we are.
We made you watch too. We made you watch the speech.
You made me watch. Making me watch this was the real crime. Because like mentally, yesterday I tried to take a break from this, and I went to I watched some football. I had a couple of meetings with some friends I hadn't seen in a while, and I went to see a concert. And I was like, mentally, I was like, I can do this. I can do a podcast. I can talk about this on TV tomorrow. What I did not mentally prepare for was watching it. The talking I can handle because then I get to vent. The watching was bad, and you did that to me. You made me watch it.
This is like, I mean, it is the inauguration. Like,
Triangular Planet asked if JVL is doing okay. Good on JVL, by the way. He has like 19 children, and they have the day off, and so he was like, "I'm going to parent today and not watch this," and I'm fucking jealous.
He got his snowblower out. He was snowblowing his whole driveway. He is checked out of the world.
See, this is, I guess maybe this makes me like a freak, but like I want to watch this shit. And on election night, I was like, let's go. Let's fucking do this.
You're a
and
freak.
You guys are just like, no.
No doubt. You're a freak. Yeah. Just
I mean,
concur.
look at
Speaking of freaks, look at Melania's outfit.
I have the same hat. I have the same hat.
Like,
is that,
how is this America? What is happening? These people, do Make America First Again people all do seem to have like a foreign fetish when it comes to other things. Ivanka's outfit was very foreign.
No, Ivanka looked like she was at the Kentucky Derby or something. Yeah.
I said to my wife, Ivanka looks like she's in the French Resistance right now.
French Resistance,
like,
yeah.
She looked like she was. But I love Melania's hat because you could only see half her face. It's like it's frankly bizarre. I've never seen anything like this at a inauguration style event.
I'm sorry to go back to the Biden thing, Sam, but since you two are the ones that are happy with the norms abiding, like why are they still together? He's not president anymore. It's over. He's the same as Obama and Bush. Go home. Go on to Delaware.
He's got a helicopter waiting for him. He should go.
Go to the beach. Do we have to do this? Like, why?
Yeah, I don't know. Hey, take down that picture.
Outfits.
I want to see
Thank
Biden.
you, Sebastian. Look at those outfits.
Oh, is that Harris hugging Jill? Yes, that's Kamala Harris hugging Jill. Doug talking to Joe. They're saying their final goodbyes. Not their final goodbyes. For now, goodbyes. And then you're going to see them take off. This is the process where they take off. They get into a helicopter. They peace out. Trump did not participate in any of this 4 years ago because he was a big baby and his attempt to overthrow the government.
The norms. He doesn't care about norms. It didn't hurt him at all.
And the good thing is you learn. All of us have small children. And so when they act like children and have temper tantrums, like the right thing to do is really reward them, for that. It's like they have a temper tantrum, and then the right thing to do is like give them candy and ice cream and say you don't have to go to sleep tonight. That's what we've done with Donald Trump.
Right. So JD and Vance, they're saying goodbye to Kamala Harris. I'm sure that was incredibly awkward. And then you have Biden, Jill, smiling, Trump, Melania, hanging out, just chilling, a little cold, but not cold enough. And then they'll get going.
Yeah. No thanks, by the way, to the commenters who are not happy with the Biden bashing. Biden's behavior today and this year has been disgraceful. And Jill's behavior has been disgraceful. And they are as responsible as anybody for why I have to sit here and watch this today. Sam is number 2 because he forced me to watch it. And I guess that neither of them are number 1 is Mitch McConnell and the Republican senators for not fucking impeaching and convicting him when they should have. But the Bidens are on the list, and everybody on the list that was responsible for me having to sit and watch this, I'm going to give shit to. Sorry.
That's fine. It's totally fair. I think Biden has really sullied his reputation, especially over the past couple weeks. Just a slew of ridiculous actions that you just can't really defend. All right, here we go. Walking, toodles, goodbye. Trump. Let's go quickly to Trump. He says he wants to be a peacemaker and a unifier and lead with compassion.
He did? When was that? Was that in the speech?
It was in the speech, man.
I must have blacked out during that part.
He's a peacemaker and a unifier. Will lead with compassion. I believe him.
Yeah,
I don't believe him. I don't think
makes sense.
No, words don't matter anymore. Is something that you is something that you have to get used to.
Yeah, I was like, I'm a unifier, and then like the other half of the speech was like, screw the trans people. So, there you go. All right, this is our last look at Jill and Joe as they board Marine One. I think they're going to California for a little break after this. Yeah.
Someone asked about the Kinzinger. I have texted Adam today. He's not thrilled, as you guys might imagine. So
did he get a pardon or no?
He did.
He did. Okay.
And he's just simply
I think it was
kind of
everybody on the
retweeted
Jan
it.
6 commission.
It was a blanket. Everyone on the committee. Okay.
He said he was very clear previously that he did not ask for one. So
he didn't want one.
He did not want one. So we'll just leave it at that. But
Do we
I have
know
talked
if
to
he's-
Adam. I've proof of life via text message on Adam Kinzinger.
Yeah. I mean, what did you make of the pardons, Tim? Not the family pardons, just for the J6 people.
Yeah, me and Bill talked about this on the pod today quite a bit, so you can get the longer answer over there on that stream when we're finished if people want to. The short of it was, I'm genuinely torn. I was for him originally, and so just in order of full transparency,
sure,
like I was emotionally for them, and then after talking to Adam and a couple of other people who gave me private feedback about why they didn't want one, I kind of changed my mind towards being against them. And I think that, because it quasi signals guilt, even if they say it doesn't.
Right.
And on top of that, we know that Donald Trump will never be held accountable for his actions, unfortunately, but I retain some hope that we have a constitution and rule of law in 2029, and some people around him might be held accountable in the future for their actions. And this seems to, give some cover for that not happening, which probably wouldn't have happened anyway. So I don't put a ton of weight in that. Hey, long story short, I think it's complicated. It's a tough call. I leaned against, but I kind of get it.
What do you think, Sonny?
I'm curious, Tim. I'm curious. What specifically were the folks saying who didn't want one? Just that they didn't want people to say like, oh, look at these guilty people taking pardons. I mean, because
yeah.
This is one of these things where I'm like, well, who cares what idiots say?
Right.
Like, if I were on the January 6th committee, I would very much like to not have to deal with, the hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal bills that will undoubtedly rack up
Right.
if there are weird, spurious, attempts to try.
Yeah, Adam's argument was more like the bring it on argument. I didn't do anything wrong. I respect the chutzpah, though I understand your point of view on that, Sonny. So he didn't pardon these other folks. I don't want to bring any additional unwanted attention to anyone, but their case was that they didn't want to be put into the spotlight. Like they were concerned more about crazy people than about, they're like, if I didn't do anything, I'm innocent. I'm more
Right.
concerned about a target being put on my back than I am about like
a sort of accidental enemies list.
Yeah, being charged. And so in those cases, Biden didn't do that. He just pardoned, what was it, Fauci, Milley, and the January 6th committee. So maybe cuts that both ways a little bit. Though just is in the interest of just fairness, because I do think this one is a complex and tougher call. Alex Vindman's wife was expressed displeasure on publicly that he wasn't on the list. So there was
why
some
wasn't
that
he?
wanted it.
Do we know why he wasn't?
I don't. I really don't. I don't have any private info on that. I saw her.
This is obviously it won't happen, but like there has to be some sort of reform around the pardon process. It's out of control, and people were dredging it up, but it's valid. 2020, Biden was out there asked about Trump doing preemptive pardons for him, his kids, and Rudy Giuliani and the like, and he's like, that troubles me.
Yeah,
it's a bad precedent. And someone made a suggestion, I don't forget who, but it's like the simplest, elegant solution here is you can only make it so you can only pardon someone up to election day. I mean, that way the voters at least get to weigh in on how.
No lame duck pardons.
Yeah,
Oh, I like that. That's a good
how
idea.
callous and immoral your pardons are.
I'm not
Right.
I'm not a constitutional.
Although I
scholar,
guess
but
I
that
suppose
would
Biden
require
would have
a-
just pardoned his siblings like
That would require an amendment.
the morning of the vote. Yeah.
I mean,
But anyway.
like anything here would require an amendment, which will never happen anyway. So
Right.
unless I don't know, Trump decides at the end of his presidency, here's a new amendment, we'll do.
There were some comments, Sam, asking about the weather. I'm not in DC. You are.
I was in
wonder.
it.
Doesn't look that cold. I mean, I was watching
It was
football
brisk.
all
It's
weekend. There were
brisk, but it's fine. They could have done outside.
full
They could-
stadiums out there in Buffalo. Of
Yeah,
people.
no, they could have done outside. It would have been cold, but like honestly, it was doable. And
So you're saying that?
I don't use the word again. Don't do
You're
it.
saying that Trump's a?
Don't do it. I know we're in the Trump presidency now, but
You're
you
not
don't have
saying
to
that?
do it.
Oh, okay.
I'm not saying it. I ain't saying it.
Seems like he kind of is a little bit of a. Yeah.
Can I switch gears a little bit? We saw Vivek Ramaswamy in the audience today. I was a little surprised. Thought he was done with Doge, but Vivek sticking
Running
around
for governor.
He posted a picture of him and Elon on X.
Oh, they're
Snap.
good. They're good.
They're
Just
best
want to be.
friends.
Yeah, clearly.
You can tell Elon was thrilled to be in that picture. You could tell.
Vivek did the first cut. Was Vivek? Sad.
Didn't even make it a full Scaramucci.
No, he made him multiple scare movies. Come on.
He didn't even start. He got 0 days.
Oh, I guess. But from the moment he was formally announced as, yeah, you're right. They didn't actually start. Not even a Scaramouche. What happened there? I guess they just didn't get along. I don't know.
I get the sense Vivek is a very annoying person, just in general. And like even in this world of very annoying people, I get the sense he is particularly annoying, and people don't like to be around him. But I don't know him, so maybe I'm just judging by his presence.
I think once you
in the
go after Zach Morris, it's just done. You can't recover.
I gotta tell you, man, that was one of the most baffling analogies I've ever seen in my life.
Zach
Sam-
Morris, Urkel. Yeah,
Sam,
what?
you're doing a great job managing this, but I need a cigarette or
You're heading out?
something heavier than this. I do want to say to people that today and tomorrow we're offering 2 months free of Bulwark Plus. You can go to
nice.
thebulwark.com/subscribe to get it now. You'll get exclusive content from our team, ad-free commentary, and much more. And it seems like a good time to join because I need emotional support, friends, to discuss my despair.
Actually,
And,
let me use this as a jumping off point to talk about what we're going to be doing here at the Bulwark for the next couple months, so that
Great.
people can understand what we're subscribed to. If you need to go take a smoke,
No, I'll stick it out. I'm just
stick it out.
I was
I
trying
get you.
to.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I think
There's only so much I can take. Is all I'm saying. But I can. Do
I'm in the middle of dry January and it sucks.
Not me.
I was
I had a
talking
wet
with my wife
Sunday.
last night about whether we should just give up.
Yeah,
It's
I
just
give
like
up.
feels like it. All right. So here's what we're doing at the Bulwark. Here's why you should join. Again, to Tim's point, sign up, you get 2 months free. It's awesome. It's a great product. YouTube. We are putting so many resources into what we're doing on YouTube. We are growing the channel. We're doing a lot more commentary, a lot more analysis, a lot more instant reactions. Our feed is growing. It's robust. We want people to subscribe to it, but also to share the clips. They're fantastic. On the written side of things, we are taking the money we get from subscriptions and from your generous support, and we're not just pocketing it, although maybe Tim is, and I don't know about it. We are investing it into actual reporting resources. So we have just launched the Huddle Masses newsletter, which is honestly, I think, a really important news product and unique. It is a newsletter dedicated to covering comprehensively the Trump deportation regime. Adrian's been doing fantastic work with it, laying the groundwork for what's to come. He's had a few banger newsletters already. And then on top of that, he's going to be reporting both what's happening in DC, but also across the country, covering the border, covering what's happening in the cities, covering the immigration rates, covering the characters in Trump world who are facilitating all of this. That's just one of these things. We are, and I want to tease it without giving away too much, we at least have 2 more potentially newsletter products that we're launching. One that will look at the Democratic Party and how it figures out its way through this wilderness. And the second, which looks at the alt-right and what they do in the era of Trump. But this is just basic journalism. It's accountability journalism. It's what we desperately need frankly, as some of our leading media institutions are trying to recalibrate. We think we need to hold people accountable.
Recalibrate's a nice thing to say when the owner of the Washington Post was buddying up with Stephen Miller on the front row of the inauguration.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm trying to be kind about it.
Calibrate is a nice word.
Point being, support the mission, and we are going to get those resources back into what is needed, which is quality, accountability, journalism. Go ahead.
Are you going to defend Jeff Bezos? Because, by the way, I just want to say,
I'm not.
I love Amazon. Great product. Amazon Prime is a great product. He brought a lot of happiness to us. I don't know why he didn't enter the journalism space. If he was going to start, if he was going to just totally flip back and forth to suck up to whoever the new president is. It feels like a mistake. The journalists are supposed to be hostile to the people in power.
That does feel like a mistake. No, what I was going to say is I just wanted to give a lot of praise to our YouTube folks. I don't do a ton of stuff on the YouTube side. I do some of the live things and some reaction videos and stuff. But the amount of work you guys put on the YouTube page just on an everyday basis is amazing. What are we up to? 900,000 subscribers now? Crazy.
Almost.
It's a real testament to the work you guys are doing there. It's great, accessible.
Thank you.
Free. Like that, you don't have to sign up for Bulwark Plus for that. You should sign up for Bulwark Plus, but the YouTube stuff is all there for free. So
I want to just alert people. We might go live to this feed. Trump is entering the Capitol, going back into the Capitol now. This is a traditional congressional luncheon ceremony that happens after every inauguration. He gives remarks. All members of Congress are there. They eat God knows what. And it doesn't look like Big Macs this time around. But yeah, usually there are remarks delivered. I don't believe he's going to sign any executive orders this go around. But if Trump speaks or if someone of importance speaks, we will likely dip in and take them live. Tim, anything else you want to say about the offer or what we're doing with the mission?
I was kind of spacing out, thinking about what my, what I'm going to do to sort of manage, my emotions over the next few hours. I got to be on. I was just thinking about my different options. Probably doesn't make sense to start drinking yet. I don't think.
No, you have TV tonight.
Very early.
But I could have, I think, one or two pops for TV. You don't think so?
One or two. All right, let's listen to JD.
I'm going to leave, guys. Appreciate everybody for being on.
I'll stick around for a little bit. Sonny, stick with me for a tiny bit, unless you have to leave, and we'll listen to JD and Trump. And then after they're done, we'll call it quits.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for making this possible. We love you. We wouldn't be here without you, and we're going to make America great again together for the next 4 years. And the last thing I'll say is, having stood outside for about 5 minutes to wave goodbye to the Bidens, thank God we moved that thing indoors because it was a beautiful ceremony and it was cold as hell outside. So, sir, the 45th and 47th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
No, he's right. I said, oh, look at this beautiful sunny day. We blew it. And then I went outside and we were freezing. You would have been very unhappy. The sun was very deceptive, I will tell you. It is cold out. And I'm sort of saying, that was so beautiful today. Maybe they should do it there every 4 years. Does that make sense? I don't know. Because, the outdoor thing is really good, but it gets a little cold around this time of the year. Some people have noticed. And a lot of times they suffer through it. There was no suffering in that room. It was 72 degrees. It was perfect with the best acoustics I think I've ever heard in a room. This is not so bad either. But I just want to say, you're a younger, far more beautiful audience than I just spoke to. And I want to keep it off the record. I want to keep that off the record.
I don't get it.
Because I don't want to have all those big shots up
No
there.
idea.
I don't want to think you're more powerful than them. You look better than them, and I love you. We just had a great time. We just had a great day. This was amazing. When you think we took a journey. I mentioned in the speech, a lot of people said that was not a journey that was possible, and it was indeed possible. I didn't really know too much about what they were saying when they said that, but a lot of people felt it. And we hooked up with JD very early. I watched JD over a period of time. I endorsed him in Ohio. He was a great senator and very, very smart. The only one smarter than him was his wife. That was, I would have chosen her, but somehow the line of succession didn't work that way, right? But now she's great and he's great. This is a great, beautiful couple and unbelievable career. I just said to him, you are very upwardly mobile, because he hasn't been doing it that long, but he picked it up so quickly. Remember, the first week was a little bit like the fake news was hitting him really hard. And I said, oh, this may be tough, but after that, it was smooth sailing for him. He took on everybody. He took on the meanest. I don't want to use the word corrupt because we're into a new system, so let's wait till the corruption begins, because it will. But he took on some pretty mean people, and he handled it well. I want to also congratulate Mike Johnson for the job that he's doing. Steve, we gave him a majority of almost nothing. And then I said, to make it tougher on him, let me take 2 or 3 of the people, right? I said, he'll only have to suffer with that for about 3 months. How are they doing, by the way? Is that moving along? I said, do you mind if I take this one, that one, and a couple of others? He didn't mind. He can handle it. No, he's a man that's liked by everybody. I've never met a man like this. You've got how many is it, 219 or 220 or something? 220. And of the 220, 219 really like him. I noticed he got 1 negative vote once about 2 weeks ago. But I think even 220 like him, if you want to know the truth. And that's very unusual. I know a lot of nice guys in Congress, and they have 35 people that hate him. So if you have 35 people that hate you and you only have 1 or 2 or 3 votes, you'll have 5, I think. But that's going to be like, the good news is when we get to that 5 number, it's going to feel like a massive majority. You could be really nasty to a couple of them at least. So it's going to feel like hitting your head on the wall and stopping. It feels so good to stop. But he's done a fantastic job. And Steve Scalise is, he's our hero because, I was with him. You talk about being shot. I was with him. He got some bad ones.
He literally was shot. Yeah, he talked about being shot.
She really loves him. You never know about that. I've been with other people. They were doing poorly, and the wife is like looking at her watch. She can't get out of the hospital fast enough.
He's made that joke before. I like that one.
That woman was a mess. She was crying and crying. Take him.
It's very shocking to him that the wife might be distraught
the doctor
when
told me it was
husband's
the
shot
most
in the hospital.
blood they've ever transfused in any patient. They've never done anything like it. And here he is, the picture of strength, right? And he's been a great friend of mine. With the family, because of the family. And what a job you did. It worked out pretty much better than we even thought, right? And I did have a couple of things, to say that were extremely controversial. And between JD and Melania and anybody else that heard, please, sir, it's such a beautiful, unifying speech. Please, sir, don't say these things. I said, I'm telling you, it's going to play great. They said, you're right. For this group of people, it's going to play great. You're the only ones I heard by not, but we had some beauties, didn't we, Melania? She said, sir. Calls me sir when she's angry.
She calls him sir.
No, I'm only kidding.
This is more entertaining than the actual speech.
Yeah,
right?
this is
Like,
great.
am I wrong? This
No,
is,
you're totally right.
No, but she said, no, I think it's...
But that's because he's just, in his heart, he's an MC. Like, he wants to be at his club and regaling his guests.
But she said it's such a beautiful speech. You can't put things in there that you were going to put in. And I was going.
I want to see the beautiful version of this speech.
Yeah, exactly. What is the Melania edit?
Florid language.
You think Melania goes edits in Google Docs, or is she a word person?
Not words that count. And you're going to see a lot of action.
What do you think of Trump's shoulder pads here? Really impressive.
Is he wearing? He's
And I
wearing
was going to talk about.
right?
Yeah,
Or
it looks
is
like
that-
it.
is
David
that-
Bernstein.
I can't tell.
The pardons of people that were very, very guilty of very bad crimes, like the Unselect Committee of Political Thugs.
Here we go.
Where They literally, I mean, what they did is they destroyed and deleted all of the information, all of the hearings, practically not a thing left.
That's not
They
true.
deleted
Practically
all the
nothing.
information on Nancy Pelosi having turned down the offer of 10,000 soldiers. You wouldn't have needed 10,000. You could have had 500, and it would have stopped. Because we may have had 1 million people that day, the people that were there. You don't see any photographs, but we have a lot of great photos.
There's 1 million people.
But you don't see those photographs. They don't put them in. They show the people at the Capitol. But I was talking
Man,
about
going with January 6th today, huh?
that. I was going to talk about that.
He's doing his
He
victory.
was going to
lap.
talk about that.
Please don't bring that up.
Well,
right
look, this
now.
is always
Bring it up.
Wait, he just said he was going to talk about January 6th.
I'll bring it up right
His
now.
inauguration speech. Jesus.
You know, this little time delay is good because we're getting great reviews on the speech. Now watch. They'll take the speech and say, I didn't like it because he left there and he talked to people. But we're giving you a little more information than we gave upstairs. But no, they pardoned a lot of people. They pardoned, before we even get to today, they pardoned, 33 murderers, absolute murderers, the worst murderers. You know, when you get the death sentence in the United States, you have to be bad because they don't give it much. And he pardoned almost everybody having a death sentence. And if you went through the crimes that were committed, you wouldn't even believe them, the level of violence.
Just to be clear, I
People
know
that were
it's
killed,
a
the
distinction,
innocence
maybe
of
without
people
difference
that
for some
were
folks. He
killed, the
didn't
children
pardon
killed by
those
these people,
sentences.
and he
He
pardoned them for
converted
that
their
reason.
sentences to life without
He
parole.
spared them, and but they didn't spare the people that they killed. And you know, who knows what happens in the future? It's one of the worst because a lot of times they let them out early. After that, you know, they say you're going to be in for life, but then all of a sudden they get let out
That's not
for good
happening.
behavior, and then they go on a rampage. You know, it's one of those little things, right? But I was going to talk about that. But I was really going to talk about the level of, you know, what's going on. Why are we doing this? Why are we trying to help a guy like Milley? Why are we doing Milley? He was pardoned. What he said, terrible what he said. Why are we helping some of the people? Why are we helping Liz Cheney? I mean, Liz Cheney is a disaster. She's a crying lunatic and crying Adam Kinzinger. He's a super crying. I never saw the guy not crying. He's always crying. I look at him. I remember years ago, he was actually on my side. And then one day, you know, when you don't want to kill people in wars, they turn against you. Liz Cheney hated the concept of not going to war with everybody. Let's kill everybody. Let's spend a lot of money on military equipment, you know, where her father works, right? And, but what she did was incredible. Think of it. They destroyed and deleted all of that information that went on for almost 2 years against Trump. And the reason they did, because it was all false. Like the person that said, I tried to strangle a Secret Service agent. That's one of the toughest human beings I think I've ever seen. I actually had a friend saying, please don't change that, sir. You are the coolest sucker in history. Remember, she said, I put my hands around his neck because he wouldn't go to the Capitol. Made up fiction. And I was rebuffed. And the guy on the right is a massive weightlifter, probably stronger than me. Do you think he's stronger than me, honey? You know who I'm talking about. Possibly stronger than me. Slightly younger than me, like, I won't say how.
So just
many
to be
years,
clear
because I don't
about
want to
this
talk
speech,
about
I
that,
was
but a
wrong
lot
when I
of
said this is
years.
congressional luncheon. This is the speech
But I
to
had
the
a friend that
overflow
said,
crowd.
"Why
So this
are
is
you
all his
disputing
supporters,
that
which makes a
story?
lot
That's
more
the
sense.
coolest
He's not
story
speaking to
I've
members of
ever heard."
Congress. He's
That I
speaking to
would
the overflow
attack a
crowd here.
karate champion, get slightly rebuffed, and then throw my arms around a guy with a neck about this big. Even though there are bars, you know, there are bars, you can't really do that anyway. So I wanted to talk about that. But all of that stuff got deleted. And the reason it got deleted is they were all caught in lies. You know, Secret Service testified and they said it didn't happen. Actually, the two guys were very embarrassed. They're suffering because their friends are saying, did Trump really do that to you? But they gained a whole new respect for me. But it was just make-believe stuff. And there were a lot of make-believe stories made up.
Again, a
So
whole new
rather
respect
than
for
suffer
the
the
make-believe
wrath, like the
choking
story
out
with
the
Nancy
weightlifting
Pelosi, I offered
Secret
her
Service.
10,000 soldiers. She knows it. She admitted it on tape that her daughter made. She's a videographer or whatever you call her, which I'm glad she is. So she can't be in good stead with Nancy. But Nancy said it was my responsibility as she's leaving the Capitol. She said it was, and it was. She's in charge of security at the Capitol. But I offered them
An amazing amount
up
of
to
grievance
10,000
here,
soldiers, even
but
more.
I guess
One time I said
expected.
more than
But
you
the
need.
idea that
You
he
needed
could have done his
400,
whole
4 or 5,
inauguration
you
speech
10,000,
focused on
that'd be more
recasting
than the
January
number
6th
of
and going
people
after
by a
Pelosi,
lot. But we
Kinzinger,
offered her
Milley.
10,000. Think of it.
Well, this is
10,000
there he is.
soldiers.
Hey,
In other
Tim's back.
words,
Tim's back.
J6 wouldn't be J6.
This
There
was
would
the
have been no
whole.
J6.
I wrote about this in Morning
But she
Shots the other
rebuffed
day,
them.
though.
She didn't like it. No, she didn't like it.
The
Maybe she
official
wanted that to
portrait
happen.
looking like his
But
mugshot
she's
is
guilty as
intentional
hell.
because his
Now,
entire case
we
for
would have to
Trump
go through the
2.0
process
is
because
we
they
got to get him back
destroyed
for what
all
they did to me.
evidence. They deleted
They treated me
everything.
bad.
There's virtually
and
nothing
that's all
left.
this is.
The other fake story and so many
This
other
piece
fake
of
stories.
shit. Hi,
many
I'm back.
people came out
This
on
piece
our
of
side.
shit. This is why he was low energy. Okay,
'Cause
this
this
is
is the
why he
shit
was
he
low
cares
energy.
about.
Because he wasn't
So
happy
that's a
about
criminal
the speech
offense.
that
If that
they
were a
made him
civil
give.
case, it would be
Yeah.
a
He was
criminal
unhappy
offense.
about the speech that they made him give. He
If
didn't
that
want to
happened
do the
civilly,
we have
would do that,
unity
it would be
thing.
a criminal
That's why he only showed energy about
So
taking
I
back the Panama
decided
Canal
I'm
from the
not gonna make
Chinese.
this
That's the
speech
thing that he cares
complicated. I'm
about.
gonna make
Is
it
like
beautiful. I'm gonna
saying
make
"f you" to people,
a unified
going after
speech.
people who
And then when
thinks
they
have been
said we
unfair
had
to
a
him, and so he comes
group
out
of people
at
that are
what should
serious
be
Trump
at, like
fans,
this moment of unbelievable triumph. How easy would it be to be gracious right now? Like all of your foes are defeated. The richest people in the world are suckling on your toes, and yet he still can't do it because he is just a resentment monster.
And all the
who
time,
now
all the
needs
time,
to get
yeah.
all his feelings out.
And all those people are like, oh, why don't you just forget about January 6th? It's over. Focus on the future. It's like this guy wanted to talk about January 6th at his inauguration. He's just openly saying it. Like he's the one who can't forget about this stuff. It's remarkable to think that he would have gotten up there and used the opportunity to just say the January 6 rioters were fine and Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger were the problem.
Can we
Like,
talk
it's
about
just a-
JD Vance? That little laughing.
Well, JD's standing back
cock.
there.
We
Yeah.
haven't said anything about JD Vance, partly because Donald Trump didn't say anything about him. He invited Elon to come speak at his rally yesterday, but he didn't get around to the VP. But like again, JD Vance was us, well, not you, Sam, but was me and Sonny in 2016, right? JD Vance, the things JD Vance said about Trump in the Atlantic were indistinguishable from what Tom Nichols will say on the podcast tomorrow. And he does a total turn to now to the point where he has done such a heel turn that he revels in this. Like JD is loving this. The fact that like Donald Trump now is trolling people and calling Liz Cheney guilty and talking about releasing the hostages. And he's like a pig in shit.
Yeah, he's the worst. He drives me crazier than anybody else for precisely that reason. Like he's just he's such an obvious type of striver.
You know, if somebody's running for
trying
president,
to find whatever
and
in he
if they
can
go
get
out
to climb
and
the
they
ladder
announce they're
that
going
it
to Arizona, they're going to Nevada,
grates
they're
on
going
me
to
on a very
someplace.
deep
If you
resonant
have
level.
200 or 300 people.
And here he is,
and
vice
Ronald
president.
Reagan would go out.
He worked. I mean, he made the right
outside of
bets.
the
Let's be
couple of
honest.
days
It works. It
when
worked
people
for him.
said, But even then, you have a couple of thousand people. But if you're going to go someplace, any one of the swing states, any one of the other states, I mean, how about the non-swing states? We won Alabama by 48 points. We won Tennessee by massive numbers. Wyoming, we won by numbers that are, nobody's ever seen numbers like that.
He's ever seen numbers.
And, you know, places like California, we did great, but when they send out like 38 million ballots, nobody knows where the hell they're sending them, and then they come pouring back the whole thing. You know, they passed a law in California that if you work in an election bureau and if you so much as ask for a voter ID, if you say, sir, ma'am, could I please look at your voter ID? They have the right to put you in jail. You're a criminal. Can you believe that? There's only one reason that happens. They want to cheat. So they had it where voter ID wasn't accepted. But now if you even ask for it, this is seriously a bill that was just signed, passed in their legislature.
How
And
long do we think he's going to
it was
speak
signed.
here for?
And I think when we
Is
get
this longer
things
than
cleaned
the
up and
inauguration
little bit of
speech?
normalcy
Not
on
yet,
it,
but
I
I have a
think
feeling
we'll
he
get
might
well,
go.
because
I'm
I think
hungry.
we would have won the
Well,
state
it's like you
of
said, the
California
only thing he
because,
actually cares
you know,
about
you
is
look
the
at my
grievance
numbers,
of it all. It's this is the thing that gets him out of bed at night. Is
and
like,
we
we're
won
gonna.
the Texas border
I'm great.
that had never been won.
I've been treated
As the
poorly.
governor said, he's
Right.
doing a good job, the governor, by the way, of Texas. But as the governor said, It hasn't.
Okay, this is enough for me. I wanted to come back to Rant. See you guys.
Thank you.
Good job,
All right.
Sam.
All right.
Closing, I
Is
said.
he done? Is he? Oh,
I
I
don't
thought he
know.
was done.
I thought he was done. Thought he was done. Sonny, you don't have to stick around. I can
look at
close this up
you.
if you want to go.
Well, I mean, if we're gonna wrap, I'll stick around till.
I like that.
I mean, how long are we?
I don't know. That's what I'm worried
Said,
about. This could go on for a while.
The governor of Texas, he's not doing his job. You heard what I said. See, I didn't know you were there.
I do appreciate Tim just coming back in to be like, this bucket sucks.
Coming in
and then
with
leaving
this.
again.
Now you're gonna have a partner that's gonna work with you because you didn't have. Not only didn't he have a partner, he had people selling the wall. Right? We have a fence structure that we worked on. The governor worked on with me, and I didn't love it, to be honest with you. I wanted a nice precast concrete, 40, 50 feet high, like a beautiful. Could have been a T-shaped, Y-shape. I love construction. I wanted that something maybe 50, 60 feet. It would have looked beautiful. A nice Y shape. And they said, the problem is, sir, they climbed that like a rabbit. I said, what do you mean? No way. And they brought some of these guys
Do
out.
rabbits climb?
They climbed it like.
Rabbits
And
go
the other
under
thing is
fences.
you hit it with acid.
I know,
They
because I have a
make
bunch of
sensitive.
rabbits
They have
that
things
go
for
under the
concrete.
fences into my yard.
So they needed very hardened steel, very special steel. And then they needed 7,000-pound concrete inside that steel, inside that steel. And then they have a rebar that's the toughest steel made. Very hard to cut. So this is why very little is cut. I mean, it's right. And then they put a anti-climb panel on top. I hated it. I said, it's so unattractive. And I said, why would that work? I don't believe it works. And I went to watch the Border Patrol, gave a display. We had actually 2 sets of climbers. The guys that climb up walls with drugs on their back, I mean, they got like 60, 70 pounds of drug, and they go as fast as you can walk. They go bip, bip, bip. Or we have Mount Everest type climbers. And honestly, the drug guys were much better. I couldn't believe it. The drug guys blew them away, right? But it's true, the anti-climb panel, they couldn't get around it. They just couldn't. You didn't have it. So sometimes you sacrifice beauty for efficiency. And we did. So we built this wall.
Yeah, can we just lower the volume for a touch and we can go back to him for a second?
The famous
We can play it a little bit. I just want to emphasize how weird this actually is. I mean, I'm trying to remember, but in 2017, we did obviously have the weird shit speech, but we did not have this. This is a rambling, somewhat incoherent, campaign-styled, grievance-fueled speech that has no real coherence to it, and really sets the tone for obviously what we all thought would be kind of a chaotic and shambolic 4 years in office. It's really important to emphasize this is bizarre. This is just bizarre.
Look, I don't always pay a ton of attention to the pomp and circumstance of Inauguration Day, but this definitely feels unusual in the sense that I do not remember a similar, certainly not, set aside the tone of the thing, right? Set aside the tone of it. Obviously, he's not going to sound anything like Obama or Bush or whoever. But this is just a weird location to do it, right? Why is he here doing this right now?
We're in the Capitol and he's talking about Steve Scalise bleeding out and his wife crying and Mike Johnson and how many votes do you have? And what is Mike Johnson actually thinking? What's Usha Vance thinking right now? She's sitting there. What is she actually thinking? She's like, this is life, right? I guess this is the price you pay.
This is my next 4 years.
Right. Sometimes you just got to kind of get your bearings and realize that, this didn't actually happen in 2017. You at least tried to sort of stick to script. And this one, he's just like, fuck it. I'm going to go on a stream of consciousness rant for 20 plus minutes about random stuff.
And again, I thought this is what he was going to do at Capital One later. I thought this would be, this is what it feels like watching him on the stump, right? This is a stump. This is a stump speech. This is his stump speech. It's
just
like a
retold,
stream of consciousness, airing of grievances and accomplishments and whatever. And I really love construction. What are you talking about?
Right. And at this point, you are president. Things do need to get done, and you assume, or you want to start getting things done. Obviously, it's day one, but you have some time. But it's a weird, for a first act for his new presidency, it's a choice. And JD's sitting there stoically. His feet probably are killing him. You gotta be honest. JD's feet are killing him. He just wants to sit down.
JD right now is trying to figure out how he can get to the football games. He's like,
yeah, JD's got Ohio State and Notre Dame tonight. He just wants to get to the football game. Melania, the smartest choice of all, put a hat on so we can't see her facial expressions. And Usha, who's new to this, is stuck right on camera and has to just stay composed through it all while Trump does his thing. And Mike Johnson's off to the side wondering, like, okay, what's going on? Anyways, I wanted to just make note that this is weird shit.
Yeah.
All right, we can put the volume back on.
We heard about a month ago that not only wouldn't they let it use it, they were selling it, they were going to sell it for 5 cents on the dollar. Now, 5 cents on the dollar then, but today it would cost more than twice as much to go because we bought it like 6 years ago. And it was just sitting on the ground, and that does not do well for the whole thing. But it was just sitting on the ground, and I heard about it, and I called the governor, and I called a lot of people, your attorney general. And here's the story. They were going to buy it, and these are great business people. They were going to buy it for 5 cents on the dollar or less, and they were calling us up, we'll sell it to you for 200 cents on the dollar. In other words, it will cost you twice as much, so it's 200 cents on the dollar. I said, can somebody explain that to a judge? I mean, how corrupt is that? You'd think they'd say, maybe we'll sell it to you for 20 cents, 30 cents, but not 200 cents. So they were going to buy something for 5 cents, and they were going to sell it to us for a fortune. They were going to make it would be, they'd have it down in Fortune magazine, they'd put it of the deal of the year, okay? You buy something like that. But it was so corrupt and so horrible. And when we told that to the administration, they didn't care. They just kept going forward. They couldn't care less. And they kept going forward. They knew that they were trying to sell it back to us. They would have sold it back to us. You would have ended up buying it. You would have paid probably 50, 60 cents, who knows. But they were going to use it for scrap metal, but then they made a much better deal. They could just buy it and sell it to us for 15, 20 times what they paid. 20 times, think of it, like 20 times what they paid. And we wouldn't let it happen. And the governor with his attorney general, Ken Paxton, they made a fantastic, they're a good lawyer. He's pushed around pretty good by people, right? I said, you got a great attorney general. They should leave him alone. He was with me. But Ken and the governor went to court, and a judge actually became incensed and actually called for an investigation. How could a thing like this happen? So he stopped it. So we're waiting to put that wall up. And now that you have a new president, that wall will go up so fast. The governor will complain, sir. This is Greg Abbott, sir. Please, the wall is going up too fast. Please don't do that. You know the story about winning. No, we're going to win too much. We're winning too much, please. People always love that one. We'll do this with the wall.
Going up too fast.
Governor Abbott calls, sir.
Too fucking fast. Get that wall down.
We can't take it. We just can't take it. No, I think you'll be
Too
very
much
happy
winning.
if the wall goes up too fast, right?
Can't
Well, we'll
take
get
it.
that dude and we'll
Too
work
much
with him.
wall.
It was a great
It's too much
decision by a
wall.
great Texas.
What about the rabbits? They're going to climb over it.
It
I
was
don't know.
beautiful.
More wall.
Watch, he stopped them right in their track. I mean, they were literally.
Okay, I think
loading
this
the
is
stuff onto
lasting
trucks.
longer at this point than
Honestly.
the actual inauguration.
And he wouldn't take it. So I'm so glad I mentioned that they have a really good governor in Texas. And I swear I didn't know he was here. I swear to you, it sounds like a setup. I didn't know you would end. Did I get lucky? I said the right thing. Because there have been moments when I wasn't so happy with him, you know? But not too many, I can tell you that. So anyway, it's good to see you too, Governor. Great. But I just want to thank everybody.
Trump.
You've been,
Please. I'm just
incredible.
dying
I
here.
recognize so many of you. It's so crazy. But this has been a long journey. This was a journey that started in 2015, probably started 20 years before that. People used to say, you're going to run for president? You're going to run? And I always said, no, I don't want. And then one day I said, let's give it a shot. And what I talked about then was the border too. I think it probably was the number one issue for me. Back in 2015, 2016, I talked about the border. And now I talked about the border, but this border is much worse. We fixed the border. It was totally fixed. There was nothing to talk about. 2020, By the way, that election was totally rigged, but that's okay.
There it is.
It was a rigged election.
Knew it was coming.
You know, the only thing good about it, it showed how bad they are, showed how incompetent, and frankly, historically, this is a much bigger event. If that would have gone like it should have, the bad thing about it is some bad things happen, like a lot of people in our country that wouldn't be in our country right now. So that's the bad part. But I will say that it started in 2015, and right from the beginning, we went to the top. That day one, they announced Trump, and Trump went to number one and stayed there for the whole primary. And then we took on Hillary. She didn't look too happy.
Oh my God, he's going to Hillary.
A very nice person, but we took on Hillary and we defeated Hillary, and then we did much better the second time in 2020. You know, we got millions more votes. We got millions, like 10, 12 million more votes than we did the first time. No president has ever gotten that many more votes. I got like 9 million more than anybody else had ever gotten. And they said we lost. And because of that, I said to Melania, what do you think? And she said, you want to do this again? And had we lost, and had I thought we lost, I wouldn't do it again, because that's like the ultimate poll, right? But I knew how well we did. And this time we made it too big to rig. It was so big. They tried like hell. But they tried to do it. And around 9:02, they gave up. Last time they did bad things. This time they just said, you know, I don't know if you saw, Mr. Speaker, in Washington, they had placards. They were all set to march. They thought it'd be closer. A gentleman asked me, a very respected gentleman asked me yesterday, how come the polls were so wrong? They showed you winning, but not in a landslide. I said, because people that are true Trumpers are so angry at the whole polling system and at the writers, the fake news, that they don't want to talk to anybody. So when you call somebody from Trump, who are you voting for? They say, it's none of your business. I'm not telling you. And that was probably 40% of the people they called. So they would discard that.
Wrap it up, Donald.
And they didn't show that.
Please.
And then when the election happened, you know, the vote came, and it was much different, much higher than we're going to win.
Is he hungry?
They really thought, they couldn't believe the one man said, I mean, it was so much higher. We won all 7 swings.
Mike Johnson looks like he's going to tip over.
Popular vote by millions.
He's got his
of
hands
votes,
in his pockets. He's like, oh my God.
I'll tell you who came through. The unions came through. The auto workers were great. The Teamsters were great. The firemen
I
were
got to
great.
applaud Usha. She is just not
union was great.
giving
The only one
any
that weren't
indication
great,
here.
although Sean.
She's barely
was
cracked
great,
a
and,
smile
and
or
the
a frown or
Teamsters, the head
anything.
of the Sean O'Brien, the head of the Teamsters, was fantastic. But generally speaking, the head of the union was against Trump, but the union would be with us for like 80-85%. Look what we did with the auto workers in Michigan. Look what we did with the Teamsters.
This is the weave.
Do we-
This is the weave.
Is there like a contractual thing that we have to follow?
And they
this
voted for
whole
Trump.
Thing saying?
No,
Is
I
there
told
like
you
a
you could
agreement?
go. I told you you could go.
Work and get it done.
Don't feel like you have to stick around for this. I'm happy to wrap it up.
And we're going to turn it around fast. And I think this was a better speech than the one I made upstairs. Okay?
Yeah,
Everyone is very clear that you think this is the better speech.
I think this was much better, and I got to see my friend. So, Governor, take care of yourself. You call me, we'll start working. You know what that means with him? He's going to be calling me tomorrow morning at about 6. And I said, how about next week? You call me, and we're going to get it started real fast. We'll really help you a lot. You've done a fantastic job protecting something which is it's not supposed to be for the states. And amazing job you've done. Thank you very much. And I want to thank everybody. And I have a first lady who's been incredible. I shouldn't say this. I'm going to get hell when I say this, but her feet are absolutely aching. You know, those heels. And we thought we were leaving. We were going home. Sir, would you be able to go down and say hello to some of your other fans that are here? Wow.
He's being
Did you get
honest
to see
here.
pretty clearly the picture, I hope? Good. That's good. But because you wouldn't want to make the same speech again, right? But she said, darling, I love you so much, but my feet are killing me. I said, honey, let me just see how far it is. I asked the person. Oh, not that long, maybe 400 or 500 yards. That's 5 football fields. I said, can you make it? She said, we're going to make it no matter what. We're going to make it because we have to do it. Right? And then we went out to the helicopter, though, just prior to this and said goodbye. And it's a custom, and the wind is blowing like crazy. And with the hat that she's wearing, she almost blew away. We almost lost her. She was being elevated off the ground. She almost blew away. No. So we all appreciate it because you've been a great first lady, a beautiful and a great first lady. And they love our first lady. You know, JD, whenever I make a speech, I see hundreds of times, we love our first lady. We love, and they do, and they should. She's great. So I just want to thank you. Thank you very much. I just want to thank everybody. Please. And I felt that I said to JD, should we give him the A treatment, the B treatment, the C, the D, or the F? You know what the F is? Hello, everybody. Thank you for being here. Bye-bye. I gave you the A+ treatment. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you, Governor. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Let's mute this. Folks, thank you so much for sticking with us through this. Sonny, thank you so much. Quickly before we leave, we have a scheduling note. We're going to be hosting a live stream with Bill, Mona, others tomorrow night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern for Bulwark Plus subscribers. We're going to be talking about not just whatever the hell this was and the inauguration, but the first day in office, the executive orders. We're expecting some executive orders actually in pardons for J6 rioters, things like that. Well, so please subscribe to get onto that live stream. It's at thebulwark.com/subscribe. And as a reminder, today and tomorrow, we're offering a 2-month free trial for Bulwark Plus. Again, go to bulwark.com/subscribe. You get it now. You get exclusive content from our team, ad-free commentary, and much more. Just look at those photos. My headshot needs to be replaced with something a little bit more recent than when I was 24 or so. Okay, Sonny, I appreciate it. This was a journey. Guys, Sonny was vomiting this morning.
Lots.
He did this
a lot, not like a little bit, like for 6 hours in a row. So but I couldn't miss this. I couldn't miss the weave.
Not at all. Not at all. Not at all. Like this was an incredible feat up there with Jordan in the playoffs. Thank you, Sonny. Thank you guys for tuning into this live show. Again, subscribe to the Bulwark, and we will catch you for all this type of content for the next 4 years. Good luck, America.